guys, so I thought I'd do a video real quick. I've done a lot of research on how to do double-sided printing with Cricut Design Space, and the videos I've watched are great. However, they're not solving a problem that me, and it seems from the comments, a few other people are experiencing, where it's just not perfectly centered. So I just wanted to go over the video of how I kind of figured it out with the project that I'm currently working on. So I was just trying to figure out how my printer was feeding. So this was the front page that I was using here. And my printer pulls in this way and flips that way. So that's how I got this. Obviously this is not aligned properly at all. So I had to kind of go into Design Space and figure that out, which I'll show you here in a minute. But once I figured out how I needed it to feed in and rotate it for the second page, I got this print here. And this was following those other videos, suggestions and whatnot on how they did it. And as you see, these are not perfectly aligned. So when you go to cut it, it's gonna be messed up. And that is not what we want. Now, I am using just regular printer paper here. Yes, I'm wasting ink, but I'm figuring it out before I use my nicer paper. So I went into my printer settings and I was just looking around trying to figure out what was going on, because no matter what video I watched, the original poster maker of the video was not having this issue. So I'm looking at the video and how it looks on Cricut, and they looked exactly the same when it came to the layout, so I was more confused. So I figured it was something to do with my printer, which I have an Epson. Let me take a look here. I'm spacing on the exact model. It's a Epson ET 4760 series. So I went in there and I messed with some settings, and this was my next print once I messed with some settings. And I basically changed my margin on my first print. So this was the top print that I'm doing. So I set the margin off a little bit so it would align better with the second print. And to figure that out, I have some calipers. So I was just using this to measure the difference. So basically what I did here is I offset it by 0.15, which was a little too much, obviously. So I went back and I measured this little difference, and 0.05 is what I got, obviously. So I went in and changed it again. I reduced it from the 15 that I was doing. And this is what I got once I set it to just the 0.10 of an offset. And we'll go into Design Space here in a second and show you how I did that. I hope this will solve the problem that you are having. Obviously, this is only for this project here. I will have to test to see if it works on different kind of prints, like say prints where they're facing the opposite way. I'll have to figure out how to print those, because typically those involve some sort of rotating and whatnot in the printing settings, but we'll see. But for this, just straight away, it will work for what I'm doing. So we're gonna go over here in Design Space. Alright guys, so now we're in Design Space for my coaster backers, which is the project I'm working on. So as we see here, I have them attached, so they're two on each, because that's all my pages can handle for the print and cut. So the back part of my my backers are what is going to be the first page, and we have it centered in the corner as far as we can, which you just drag and pull, as you can see here, and it will not go anywhere else. Our second page, we're going to drag and pull as far as we can into the opposite corner. And we do not need to mirror these because we're just printing and cutting. So now we are going to print this, my 476 series. I am adding a bleed just in case the cut is slightly off. And then we're going to use System Dialog, Print, and then we're going over here to make sure it's selected. Go to your preferences. Make sure your letter, all that stuff is set to however you want it. I am going to be printing on my nicer, my actual cardstock for this since we have it figured out. Hopefully it works right. So I have my settings saved. If you don't know how to do printing presets, I guess comment below if you want me to do a video on that. If not, there is plenty of videos out there. We're not messing with anything in the... Well, actually, I lied. Nope. I lied again. I double lied. We are good on more options. I've been doing a lot of sublimation the past few days, so my brain's kind of set on, no, high speed bad. No, sorry. Not the sublimation printer. Obviously, we want high speed, otherwise it's going to dump too much and mess up my print. Okay, so everything else is good. Now we're going into our settings. Make sure you're seeing here. Double-sided is off. This is just changing our binding edge. So this is where I put in the 0.10. Hit OK. OK. And let's print this first page. And we will go over and I will show you how this prints and how I flip it for mine. So give me a second. Alright, so right now my printer wants me to confirm that the paper in is correct. Use the settings that I set. It is installed. Now it should print. Alright, so it's just all printed up. Now we are going to open our tray. And for me, I'm going to manually rotate it this way. Okay, so we're going to manually rotate it, put it in. Obviously, we have its offset, so the way mine feeds in, it keeps getting caught. It's going to print out to this corner, which is how it aligns. So you can run some test sheets to figure out how your printer pulls it in and flips it if you need. Put that bad boy in, and then we're going to go back into Design Space real quick. Alright, so back into Design Space. So it shows we printed it, and then it moves us to how we want to cut it. Obviously, we're not doing that right now because we're double-sided printing. So you will click on your next print then cut section, send to printer. I usually already prep this as it's printing the first page. We're adding a bleed in case it cuts weird. System dialog again. Going to preferences, and we're not messing with any of the settings here. As you can see, it's still 0. That's what we want. The only thing I'm editing is I want my quality, my preset to change to my cardstock prints. And then we simply hit print. And then back to the printer we go. And since we already confirmed the kind of paper that is in the printer, it's not prompting me for that information this time. And it's just going straight into the print. Alright, so we have our printout. Now let's go over and double check our alignment. Alright, so we're back over here. Sorry if my stand is a little wobbly. Alright, so we're gonna check. So it is off slightly, as we can see. Why is that? Let's check it out. So what are we off on this? Now it could just be because of the type of paper it is. These printers aren't the best, so paper variations can cause some problems with how it grips. So it looks like we're 0.03 off. So we're going to quickly run this through again and see how that changes. Alright guys, we're back. So I adjusted it based off that 0.03 that it was offset. As we can see back here. Oh, my little Cricut light's dying, so I'll have to charge that. But yeah, so that was 0.03. So we adjusted that, and now we see we have achieved evenness alignment. I'm not sure why the alignment changed when I swapped this paper. I'm just gonna guess and chalk it up to something about the thickness of the paper somehow affected it, not sure. But I did push the paper in and make sure that it was in there snug when it fed for printing, just to make sure there wasn't a discrepancy with the way it grabbed it. But it still did the 0.03, so I changed it. So that's my assumption, something with thickness or the paper. Now, from what I did read is, like I said, these printers aren't perfect because they're, let's be real, they designed them to not do this perfectly, so we have to pay tons of money for the fancy printers that do. So there will always be some sort of issue with these. Like, as you can see, it's slightly imperfect here, and that's just because of the way these feed. So this is as close as I'm going to get it to, so we're going to put it in, cut it, and finish this project for you guys. So now that we have it all printed off, what we're going to do here is we are going to cut on this page, because even though we printed the back as our front page, the second page is my actual front to my backer, and I needed to cut out the little hanger holes that I have on the front. I didn't bother putting them on the back, because obviously it's going to cut it regardless. So we're going to cut this one, so we want it selected. I use the light cardstock for mine. It works good. I usually just use more pressure just to be safe, because I'm lazy and I don't want to run it a second time, I'll be honest. So we have everything set up. Now we are going to go over, throw it on the mat, and cut it out, and we'll see how everything turns out. Alright, and then we're going to take it off, see how it came out. Don't hit on my map, it's old and dirty and I need to clean it, I know. But I prefer to use my older mats for the double-sided prints because of the ink, just because it can transfer onto the mat. Alright, so here we go. Here are my two backer cards for my coasters, or my car coasters. Looks good. Looks like none of my important areas got cut off. That was thanks to the bleed. As we can see here, the bleed gave me that little bit of extra security to make sure that everything was colored. There is no unintentional white done up. So the bleed is helpful for stuff like that, or certain sublimation projects you might have. The back looks good. I aligned everything good. Basically, it looks all great. So I'm happy with that. Hopefully this helps you guys with your issue. Like I said, I'm going to test it out on other projects that are facing different ways when we print, and see if that helps. I am currently trying to do research on how I can do print and cut without these size limitations as well. That's a little more tricky. I know there's lots of tutorials out there for that too, but some of them are just extensive and I'm lazy, like I said, so I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to put tape out a border on my mat, ruin that mat, and then basically have it dedicated to that. I don't know. But I'm trying to find maybe a simpler way to do it, but I will let you know. If you want, hit the bell, subscribe, so you can see if I have that video come out later. This is kind of like all side projects. I have a lot of stuff I work on. I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I apologize if the content I put out takes a while. But thanks for stopping by. I hope, like I said, I hope this helps. Remember, always use basic printer paper to kind of figure everything out. And then, like, I did have to use just like 2 of my nicer cardstock to figure out the final bit. Calipers are extremely useful in crafting, so I highly suggest getting some if you don't already have some. But thanks a lot. Have a great one, guys. Enjoy crafting.